Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Thursday. It's February 16th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and this is going to wrap up our lessons for the week. Most of you already know no chart lessons on Fridays. I usually try to take a day off Friday. Also, I believe Monday is President's Day, and I believe the market will. It'll be a holiday trading day. Market closes about noon, and I don't recommend trying to trade that. You just usually get yourself in trouble. Take the day off, enjoy a day off, and skip that trading day because it's just not worth trying to come in and trade it till lunch. The volume is very thin, and a lot of times sometimes you'll get some movement, but generally it's not worth your time and effort. But anyway, so we won't be back till Tuesday. If I'm correct, I do believe Monday is President's Day. If that's the case, we won't be back till Tuesday. So it'll be a long 3-day weekend. But let's look at the daily chart here. I usually start out trying to look at the daily chart. My data is not loading properly. I've reloaded this thing 3 or 4 times, and it continues to show the close way up here at 41.37, which that is not correct. Prices closed on a new low today, so all the way down here, probably near the lows, is where it should be. So very, very negative day, and we did close outside this trend channel now. I've been saying this looks like topping action. Still doesn't mean we're going lower, but it sure looks like we're topping out up here and may correct here before too much longer. Um, Generally, we get these sell-offs, and when we do, the market comes back and the buying is crazy, and we go straight to a new high or straight up for a high for the day at a minimum. But that didn't happen today. It looked like that was going to happen, and then suddenly prices sold off, and the bottom fell out, and we pretty much closed almost on the low of the day if we didn't close on the low of the day. So this is actually a very bearish bar, and why it's not loading properly, I do not know. I don't know if anybody else is noticing that, but uh, I use CQG for my data, and I don't have any explanation for why this looks like it does. But anyway, let's flip over to the 2000 tick intraday chart, and you can see what it really looks like. And here it is, and I think I talked about this in the mid-morning chart. Generally, when you get a trend this strongly down, you're going to get a retest of this low and attempt at another leg down. We didn't quite make that today. I don't think we even really got real close, did we? I think this is higher. As you can see, we didn't quite get there. That would have been another really big sell-off, though. That was, come on. That's what we were looking for, and we didn't quite get it. Um, but we had this big leg down, correction, and this is fairly normal. You get about a 50 to 75% correction, and then you start the next leg down. Sometimes you only get about a 33% correction. But generally, you're going to get at least a 50 on one that strong. A lot of times, you're going to get a 50 to 75% correction, and then you're going to get attempted another measured leg down. And that's pretty much what happened today. You can see that's about a 75%. We took back about 3/4 of this move, and then started the next leg down. So fairly common. A lot of trades in here on chances to buy, and few sales late in the afternoon. Kind of quiet other than that, though. But let's zoom in here, go through the trades. You can see it there. We really, from about 9 o'clock until maybe just after 1 o'clock, we were in a trading range. And then actually it looks like it kind of comes back into play. Even here, you get some momentary bounces before it heads lower again. And notice even on the measured move to the low side, we got a little support before it went lower. So fairly common there. But let's zoom in here, go through the trades, wrap up this day, wrap up this week, and we'll get a 3-day weekend here. Okay, 7 o'clock came back here, but again, you had this, you had some high volatility PPI type stuff, which is all economic. and lately you got to watch that. So I kind of marked out 15 minutes prior and 15 minutes after or so here. I don't even think I marked out 15 minutes after, maybe only about 10, because it didn't have much effect today. We really just kind of working sideways, but we just continued lower here. We're really getting late in this trend here, so without a good second entry, I don't see anything I'm going to want to enter. And then, of course, we get the break just working sideways. Um, you get a triple test right here. I think I meant to mark that. That one should be. I meant to mark that green. Um, but you can see we try to go higher once, twice, three times. And the way I looked at that, looking back at it, I think I had a different signal bar before I reloaded my data. And looking at that signal bar, I wouldn't even mark that green. I think originally I had a different signal bar there. I reloaded this data. I reloaded all my data because I wasn't sure my afternoon data was correct. And I think this did reload, and I might have lost some of my signal bars might have changed here. So some of these trades may change. I actually had a good triple test right there, but definitely by here you get a good signal bar. It's a second entry, although we're not looking for second entries in sideways stuff, but it's a downtrend. It's right off the EMA. You can clearly see the resistance right there. Let me zoom in here a little more so you can see this. I'm sorry. Sometimes I forget that. So I like that entry. When this was a good signal bar, I liked it too because it was definitely a 1, 2, 3 triple test. Um, Even without that one, you still get it here. So, you could, but if you had a good signal bar there, take it. Dropped on down, bounced. We're working along, and then of course you get another um, one. This all looks like one. I mean, we did go up and down here. You might argue that's a triple test. And as good as this signal bar looks now, I'd probably give both of these a red. So I'd probably definitely give that one a red for sure. Maybe the reason I went with green on this one is because we are getting some support at the midline there, and it does look a little congested. So that may be why I gave that one a green. We'll go back to green there. This is a little confusing since my charts changed a little bit from reloading it. I should have went back through the trades, but I didn't think it'd make that big a difference. But obviously it did. And we do drop on down. This turns out to be a great trade right here. If you took this one, you're probably not scalped out, and you probably get in here and you catch this one either way. Of course, we make a perfect measured move down based on this first leg, and then we had the correction, and when the second leg starts down, notice we had the break of the trend, the yellow khaki trend line, and we had one leg, and there's two legs in that leg. Then we corrected, and we went to make the second leg. It's a perfect measured move to the tick. And then we bounce, and of course we find this resistance here. Notice we're working up, and we get a close outside. We didn't quite make a new high. We just made a double top, and that's a second entry by the counts. Although it's not an ideal one, we are a little ways away from the EMA. It's one you might consider. I wasn't crazy about that setup. Then we come back across here, and you definitely could argue this is definitely at least a triple test, but we do make a higher high there. It still closes within there. Evidently this signal bar changed because I'd probably go with that. And then if you don't like that, we get a little lower high here later. And it is a first entry, second entry as well. So another opportunity. And then of course we drop down here and we get this, of course the supported, most of your support is across here. And we get this little failed break lower. And I've talked about these a lot lately because we've seen a lot of them. They often become important lows, and they trap shorts down here. And a lot of people that got long up here exit if it breaks out here because that's the way most people tell you. Basically, most of your books and your trading sites and other people, they all teach you to trade this backwards, wrong. And so people are trying to get long up here on breakouts, and they exit down here and they try to get short down here, and then and they just get chopped all to pieces. The idea is to sell up here and buy down here, and I've shown you this and proven this over and over and over. So don't believe everything you read on the internet. Don't believe most of what you read on the internet about trading. because these people don't know, and it's parroted as the gospel over and over, all over the place. And it's parroted so much and believed so strongly that everybody believes that's the right way to trade. But trust me, if you follow our rules, you'll be a lot better off. But you get that failed breakout. If you catch this, and you probably don't catch a runner on this one, unfortunately, unless you really hang on and keep your, you don't move your safety stop or whatever. There's some people that don't do that. I mean, you don't have to. Once you get good enough to understand the chart and what's going on, you might try to move more toward swing trading. You don't necessarily have to scalp out every trade. You can try to swing trade and catch swing trades and catch these big moves. Personally, I like to do both, scalp and try to swing trade, and so I'm guaranteed to get something no matter what. But on these failed breakouts, I always try to catch a runner here, and sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. But when you do, man, it's usually good to you. So try to trade these if you understand what's going on and you're fairly skilled at it. If you're still trying to get to break even, by all means, don't trade these. Just watch them. And, when they fail on this, wait on a higher low. And you do get a higher low chance here, right here. And you might have caught a runner there. It looks like it comes back and gets real close, but I think you'd have caught a runner on this one. So you don't always have to take usually you're rewarded more for being a little more aggressive. Here, you just got a higher low and you still got a chance. This is a spike in channel, goes a pretty strong move, and no chance really to enter here. We're back inside the range. It's into the resistance. No, I'm not going long there. It turns out to be, even though you're still looking probably for a retest of this high. Then, of course, you get two legs back, but no setup there. We come back here and see this one really changed. I think we had a little better signal bar than that. With that being a perfect doji, even though it's a second entry, I'm not going to take that. I think I had a decent signal bar here before, but it's because we came off the high, and it's because it's kind of in no man's land there. We would expect prices to maybe come back and try to retest that midline, but we would expect them to also try to come back down here. So I probably will change this now. But if you had a good signal bar there on a second entry long, and it breaks higher, maybe you go long, but with that signal bar, no. And then, of course, it's coming back here. You get a first entry, and then you get a second entry right here. It's right at the key entry point, and earlier I had a bigger close out here too, I'm pretty sure. You still got a close outside. That one's real questionable, but my first move, I think it closed on its high. And so you get a move to a new low and a second entry right off the key entry point. I like that one. You can actually, this bar, I don't know if this breaks higher first and then turns lower. It's an engulfing bar, so that's the problem with this one. I didn't see it in real time. I don't know what this one did. If it broke higher first, then you probably got stopped out on. If it broke lower first, and then trades higher and breaks out, then I'd definitely keep my stop here until this closed and then move it up to here and traded it that way. So this has changed a lot again since I reloaded my chart. Next time I'll have to look at this a little closer if that happens again. But notice we come back. You get another second entry right here, which I probably wouldn't be afraid to take that. To me, it just looks like one leg down there. So this looks like the better entry, a little higher low, but by the counts, that's a second entry, and I don't think I had that same signal bar again before. We'll at least mark that one green. And you could argue that's a triple test. There's a lot of space in there. Actually, it's not. It's not that much, maybe 20 minutes, so that's not bad. I like the higher low, and then of course you get a perfect triple test here for sure. And then you get another one here and a second entry when this is another engulfing bar. I liked all those. And of course it comes back here again, first entry, second entry, and you get a little double test there. You can see there's real strong support. So you can see the closings have moved down a little bit too. So I like that one again. And then there's a higher low. I wouldn't mark that now. The signal bar looks terrible. But if you had a good signal bar there, go long. this point, we'll change it just so my chart looks right in case somebody, because I get a lot of people, believe it or not, that come in here and they don't do anything but look at the trades and they don't listen to what I'm talking about. And they're really going to get a surprise today if they're not listening. Uh, but yeah, I like that trade earlier. It was a higher low and I had a really strong signal bar. And you can see that shows you how much difference there is on the chart. But what happens is some of the trades look better than they did before, and some of them don't look as good. So you get a few extra. You don't really get any less or any extra trades. You just get a few different trades, but it all works out in the wash. So don't worry so much that your chart doesn't look exactly like mine. I understand that most people are familiar with time-based charts and they all look exactly the same, and you're used to that. And then you come in here and you try to trade this, and they're not all the same, and people get all bent out of shape about it. Don't worry about it. It doesn't have tick charts are not all going to look the same. But anyway, notice we're in this range and we break out momentarily. It fails. I don't see anything I want to take right there. There's too much support there. You make a lower high here, but again, look how sideways congested. Just wait a minute, and you can see it does come back. And you get a second entry here with and again, you got a better signal bar than we had a minute ago. I'd take that trade. And then you get the lower high, and it doesn't look as good now. Earlier, I had a real bearish bar there. So all my counts have changed, and all my signal bars have changed. I'm going to mark that one. You may still enter that one on the engulfing bar. I think this probably broke lower, then turned up, and then came back down, but I don't know that. I can't remember. By this time I'm just kind of I'm watching the chart, but I'm not watching it close enough to keep up with that I remember every single engulfing bar. So I'm just kind of glancing back and forth at it this time, and a lot of times I'm out for lunch for an hour or so during the noon hour. So I miss a lot of the stuff during noon. And here's another one. You get a second entry long, but now your signal bar is horrible. No way I'd enter that the way that looks right there. It looks too congested as well. So I'll change my mind on that one. We run up. Turns out to be a great trade, and it was a good signal bar earlier, but now it's not. And we're just chopping side. You can't enter in there. You break out. And you're just chopping along again. There's no entry there. Too congested. You can see we've made a measured move up based on the width of this first range. We went a little higher, but that's basically a measured move. So, and we drop on down. You get a first entry. Come back, you get a second entry. Nothing there, and there's nothing all the way down here. Okay, sorry, I had a little interruption there with my mom's situation. When she calls, unfortunately I got to stop and answer, and she's complaining about her blood pressure being real high, which is why she just had a stroke anyway. So I'm a little concerned about her. But let's get through this and. No entries here. We're just chopping down. There's just all first entries, no signal bars, nothing here. Nothing I like. And then of course we bounce right out of there. Then we're just chopping along. Now we do get a 1, 2, 3 triple test with a decent signal bar here. Good move. Again, nothing else I see here. I'm not going to enter on an engulfing bar here, and that closes with way too much stem. And then notice we get a 1, 2. So there's a failure right there, and we are working down, but look how sideways that is. I don't think I had a very good signal bar there before. It didn't look anything like that. That's tempting. If you've got enough room to get out here, I'm going to probably tell you to take that trade. And if you take that, you probably get in this trade again. I don't know if you get a runner because that bar comes back, but this thing takes off. That's a really nice move. And before there was really no way to catch that. Now the way it looks now, if your chart looks like mine now, by all means take it. And of course, where do we bounce? We drop all the way back down to support. We come back and test it again. And again, I've got a little different chart here. I like this one now. I'm probably going to take that trade, at least try to ride it back to the EMA. And notice how we're just bouncing along, and you get a triple 1, 2, 3 test, and it's right off the trend line right there. Um, I still like this trade, even though the support's here. Uh, I don't like it as much because of the support, but I still like this trade. It's a really big bar. I went back and forth about this, and because it's off that key entry point, and because this shot way down here, if you put this right here at that point, that does not look like a midline. So it's not an overshoot. It's not a midline. So it probably means there's more room to go down, to go lower here. It probably bounced because of the support right there. Um, Again, it's a little risky going short right here, and it doesn't back up much. Um, maybe you argue this one's green. The support really bugs me there, but I can almost guarantee you you're gonna get a scalp out of that. Even if it fails, it's gonna you're gonna probably get a scalp out of it. But 3 tries to go higher and it turning down right off the key entry point, the EMA and the trend line and the resistance line here. There's just a lot of things going for that trade. I like it. So you don't know that it's going to take off like that, but you would expect to get a scalp out of that. That's the way I'm looking at it. And then of course, what you end up is a spike in channel. You don't know that's what's going to happen until you see it here. But notice that you get a first entry and a second entry. And again, I think my chart's changed a little bit, but this just looks like one leg up. So here's your second leg and your second entry. And that's a nice signal bar. That's a nice trade right there. And that takes you into the close with a really nice move. So that's a really nice setup right there. And a lot of times you'd say, well, that's kind of in no man's land. Yeah, it is, but you got this huge spike and strong channel move down. You're going to probably retest that low. I don't think you've moved to the lows yet. We just showed you what it looked like if you tried to use these other lows. So there's a lot of room left. And the key here is, though, it's to me, it's a second entry. Maybe not by the counts, but you can clearly see that's 2 legs back to the EMA and a nice signal bar, and this is just a double bottom here. And so first entry, second entry. Now by the counts, it's a first, second, third entry. But you have to learn to see this stuff and to use your head and to understand, the software, if you're using the software, it's not going to count perfectly because technically that's a third entry. But use your head and your experience and your skill set and know if that looks like 2 legs back to the EMA to you or not. And I think most of you would agree that looks like 2 legs back to the EMA. And a great signal bar and basically a double top. Maybe you could even argue there's a triple top across there because there's some more support resistance right across here. So, and that takes us into the close. That was a great trade to take us into the close. That was a really nice move down here. If you could catch that one, which earlier I didn't have a very good setup there, and this one, this one you can argue against. That's why I changed it to green, because it's a little risky going short into that support right there. So, but that's how I saw it today. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I need to get out of here and go check on my mom. So I appreciate all y'all's patience with all my distractions, and it's been tough on me lately with the trading as well. I'm not getting to trade as much, and I'm having to duck in and out of here more than usual. And I think I've already mentioned it, that when you're not mentally 100%, you shouldn't trade, because it will definitely, the mental demons will manifest. Any kind of things that are going on with you psychologically that affect you emotionally or psychologically in the background will manifest in your trading. It's just the way it is. It's human nature. And so if you're having a down day, you're not feeling good, or you've got some distractions or some emotional issues going on, and don't be afraid to take a day off or to wait a few hours before you start trading. I know a lot of people just feel like, hey, if I'm not trading today, they feel the pressure. I've got to trade every day. I've got to make money every day. And when you do that, it makes it really hard to be successful. When you're trading, you need to be relaxed. You need to be in the flow of the price action. You need to feel it. I can describe it and I can tell you what happens. I don't know if I quite understand why it happens, but you almost can just you just start feeling the price action. You almost know where it's going. Now, it takes a while to get to that skill level, and it takes a while to learn how to get into the rhythm of the price action and almost feel it, but it can be done, and a lot of people do it every day. Is it easy? No. Can you do it in a couple of months or even a year or two? Maybe not. After when I first started being successful, occasionally I could do that, but now I feel like most days I can do that. So as you get more experience and you get better, you can do that more often. But one thing I can tell you I know now is when I shouldn't be trading. I don't have to guess at it. I don't have to ask myself, do I really need to be trading today? I know. And if I'm not feeling it, I'm not trading, and I don't sweat it. Sometimes it feels good to take a day off and not trade because there's always a little pressure. Even when you're good at this and you're trading, there's pressure on you. And you feel that pressure to be right and to get the right read and to get the right trade. Um, but some days I will say it's effortless. And that's those days when you get in and you're really feeling the ebb and flow and you almost know where prices are going. It's scary how easy it can be on those days, but every day's not like that. The more experience you get, the more days you'll have like that, but every day's not like that. I mean, some days you don't have a clue what prices are doing. I've shown you some of these range days lately where prices are, look at that. I mean, it's hard to know what the heck prices are doing in there. And you got to be really focused and you still will screw up. Stuff like that. That's hard to read and hard to know and hard to get any kind of rhythm. Uh, you know, that's a nice rhythm up. Pretty good. I mean, that moves so fast and furious. There's not many opportunity to get in the rhythm of it, but that's what I'm talking about. And you'll see it. You'll get there if you stay with this long enough. But yeah, almost 30 minutes here. I'm going to wrap it up. Hope you had a great week. Enjoy the extended weekend. Do check before you trust me on the President's Day, but I'm pretty sure Monday's President's Day, and I'm pretty sure it's a half day trading. But check on that. And if it's not, I'm going to double check it before I leave out of here for the weekend. And if it's not, we'll be back Monday. But I'm pretty sure it's a holiday and that we'll be taking the day off. So anyway, have a great weekend. Enjoy the time off. Hope you had a good trading week. I'll see you again next week. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.